Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, 1982's Oriental Hawaii. 1982's Oriental Hawaii. This is on a double bill with Mylin vs. Serena, which I've already reviewed in this YouTube page. Put out on the Picorama Big 2-unit show from Vinegar Syndrome right here. And this is the back. This is the movie that we are looking at tonight. Some shots right there. And this is put out by Vinegar Syndrome. I picked this up about a month or 2 months ago, something like that. I don't know. I bought a ton of DVDs from them recently. Actually, a lot of DVDs and Blu-rays. And this is Oriental Hawaii. This is the one. This is the poster that we're looking at right now from 1982. This is a 79-minute movie from Carlos Tobalina. Carlos Tobalina, who's also done Mylin vs. Serena and Three Ripening Cherries and Love Champions and tons. I've ones that I've reviewed already on this YouTube page. Check them out. And you will see Boiling Desires. There's tons of stuff. In for Sexum, and there's many more to come as well. So let's look at Oriental Hawaii. The poster says a sensual tidal wave. My Lin goes Oriental Hawaii. Now, My Lin right there, very big star in porn in the during this time frame. But this is also Jade Wong. Now, I first saw her in Mylin vs. Serena, and now she is in this film as well with Mylin. Now we also have, it says in the film, introducing Danielle, who is an actress who was in a couple other films that I've reviewed on this page, like I believe it was Boiling Desires. No, Love Champions. It was Love Champions. So she did a lot of films, a ton of films that I'm going to look at in the future on this page as well. And we also have Rhonda Jo Betty in this movie. Now, Rhonda Jo Betty and Danielle were both together in The Babysitter, which I'll be looking at in the future on this YouTube page. And we also have, of course, John Leslie. So there's like an all-star cast in this particular film with a bunch of other people that you'll recognize if you know these films well. So let's look at Oriental Hawaii from Carlos Tobalina. Right off the bat, I'm going to tell you that this was just an unbelievable film. It might be, so far, my favorite Carlos Tobalina film. Wild. What we have here is we have a family. We have a mother and father, husband and wife, who have 4 kids, 2 sons, 2 daughters, and they live in Hawaii. And they're really having some money problems, and so they want to find out a way to get some more money and to keep the mother at home and not working to take care of the 4 kids and the house. And they realize that one of the things they can do is they can get 2 students from the local Hawaiian university and have them stay in their house and pay rent. So it actually works out very well. They find 2 students. Those 2 students are Mylin and Jade Wong. And thus things erupt. Also involving 2 pills. 2 mysterious herbal pills. Yes, the movie even deals with that. So let's get into Oriental Hawaii here. First and foremost, I'm going to talk about the unbelievable music in this film. The music in this movie is amazing. We have funky, powerful, groovy 70s disco, funk, 80s pop, jazz throughout this film. Tons of saxophone use, tons of awesome rhythms and beats and percussion. We also have some electronics bringing in a psychedelic edge to the jazz fusion, pop, disco, funk music that we're hearing. Some jamming in the music, which brings in some psychedelica. We also have some real sultry, mysterious, soft type jazz in this movie as well, involving women's voices. And we also have mysterious, psychedelic, dark music in this film as well. There are some pieces of music at the beginning of the film that are just unbelievable. And it's wall to wall music. There's music all the time in this movie. Even when people are talking, there's music. There's music throughout the whole Oriental Hawaii. Now, we also have some unbelievable footage of Hawaii in this film right from the get-go, from the beaches to the city. And we have Carlos Tobalina doing some really wild effects with his camera. He's doing some things with kind of having four different scenes happening at the same time and filling up the screen in each corner of the screen. He's also doing some pretty wild psychedelic effects in this film. With lighting, doubling, tripling images, and circling the image. And we have, I believe I only saw one slow motion ejaculation sequence in the film. This is a hardcore X-rated film from 1982. Carlos Tobalina did softcore and hardcore. This is one of his hardcore entries. So just as a heads up there when you're watching this. Now, it's so interesting because when Carlos Tobalina does a movie, he will typically kind of do that shot on the outside of a house, and then you go into the house, but you're seeing the outside of the house, people riding their bikes by or cars parked in the front. And I believe from doing some research, correct me if I'm wrong, that was actually one of Carlos Tobalina's actual homes. Now, from doing some research, I realized that one of his homes was demolished. One of the homes might still be there, or the property might still be there that was sold. But anyway, it's that house. It looks like the same house from the other Carlos Tobalina films where he kind of takes a shot of the outside and then you go inside. And the interiors, I believe, were also being used as the director's property. Now, he's using a pseudonym in the directing spot here as Troy Benny, which he's done in a good number of the Carlos Tobalina films that I've reviewed on this page so far. Now, another interesting thing to note is that we're primarily in locations inside of the house. When we're not inside the house, we're at Hawaiian University, and we're also at the beach, and we're seeing people on the beach, we're seeing people in the city, and just movement, Hawaii, palm trees. There's even, I wanted to add also, we even have elements of kind of Asian music and Hawaiian music fusing into the jazz, rock, pop, psychedelic, disco, funk smorgasbord, that is beautiful smorgasbord that is happening in the soundtrack and score for this film. And we are utilizing the bedrooms, we're utilizing the living room. This is a fascinating house that is a really cool fireplace. All the kind of the houses in Carlos's film so far have been fascinating, have been so just amazingly groovy in so many ways. Now, when we look at this film, it's so interesting because there are different elements to this film that will sucker punch you, shock you, and surprise you, and arouse you all together. But what we have here is we have a family that is, looking for money and needing some boarders in the house. But as the movie goes on, even the first kind of 15 minutes, you realize that this family has some secrets. And then you realize that the two boarding girls have some secrets. And then you realize that these two pills have some secrets. Two pills? Where are these two pills coming from? You're going to have to watch the movie. And it's so interestingly linked to the husband's insomnia and the husband and wife's sex life, the relationship of the siblings, without a doubt, the two brothers and the two sisters, and dreams, and the need to reclaim love in spite of hardships, money, and family life. They always say, oh, parents don't have sex as much when they have kids. That kind of element getting brought in here as well. And we also have some pretty wild sucker punches here with some taboo sexual material as well. I'll leave that as a surprise. Now, one of the things I do want to mention is, amidst all the the sex scenes are unbelievable. We have lots of multiple women lesbian sequences in the film. When I say lots, I mean they're long. We do have a lot of sex scenes in this film, and I thought all the sex scenes were just unbelievable, but especially with the women. And we also have kind of orgy like, definitely some orgy-like sex scenes involving men and women, and kind of grouping up on each one of them. Now, amidst all of this, I thought the sex scenes were unbelievable here, and hot and wild and fiery. But one of the things that you'll notice is that in one section there is a sex act that's simulated. If you look very carefully, and it's very interesting. It's very, very interesting because it's not too hidden. But then that sex act that was simulated becomes real about 15 or 20 minutes later, and you get to see. I think I saw some blood. So anyway, now I will tell you that Mai Lin and Jade Wong, two different body types for these girls. But definitely my favorite Asian X-rated actresses. Linda Wong is great too, but she's not in this movie. I think I might have incorrectly stated in another review that Mai Lin versus Serena that Mai Lin was in Babyface, but no, that's Linda Wong in Babyface. But these two girls are great. Jade Wong is very young looking, very petite, and Mai Lin, pale skin, great legs, had her whole body, and then you have Danielle, this blonde, this kind of this boisterous American blonde with kind of a husky voice, who's always says things kind of weirdly, in a great way. But her body's great. Then you have Rhonda Jo Betty, who has big breasts and great body also, and her own style of moaning and things like that. And if you know John Leslie looks New York City. He looks New York City, and he has a very unique way in this film of ejaculating, getting his whole body into the groove of it, which is interesting. Now, I will also say that this is one of the few adult films that I've seen also that incorporates drug use. And I don't know if it was actually real, if it was actually happening, but there's a section involving drug use. And actually, one of the themes in the film is the connections between drugs and sex, which, in the 70s, definitely something, that was probably something that was a theme of the 70s and the 80s, actually. But Oriental Hawaii is not just a snapshot of X-rated cinema from 1982, but it's also an amazing snapshot of Hawaii itself. If you've never been there, I've never been there. I felt like I got a chance to go. It just felt like it was. It felt like Hawaii. It felt like I went to kind of another destination, another tropical destination that was unique in a way. It didn't feel Caribbean. It did not feel like, like that I was going to, Jamaica or something. It had a different type of vibe. And I felt that Carlos Tobalina really capitalized on that and did a very good job of that. This is 1982's just very hot Oriental Hawaii. Very hot, very interesting, very weird, shocking at times, a little dark, and very, very uniquely interesting film right here. Oriental Hawaii. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like Oriental Hawaii. Please feel free to check out all my other films reviews on this YouTube page, as well as my own personal films by Googling Apartment 1014 Films. Thank you so much, and good night.